All right, so the next up is Jeff Mulligan. Is this the third time you've ever spoken in public? Mully's like kind of Howard Hughes'd out like I am. He does it more than he talks about it. And by it, I'm talking about marketing. Okay. So Mully is a straight up gangster. He is also a member of my private mastermind group, which also includes John Reese, Andy Jenkins, Mike Filsame, usual bunch of hooligans. I often personally receive and profit from Jeff Mulligan's advice, and we are very, very fortunate to have him here with us today. And let's make him especially welcome because this is way outside of his normal stuff that he does, and he came here as a personal favor to me. So please, warm welcome all the way from Alaska, where he works as a Navy SEAL, Jeff Mulligan.
Thanks, Frank. That's not a Navy SEAL. I work in Alaska clubbing SEALs, but that's okay. So my topic today is called Quickie Profits, and what I'm going to give you this morning are quick tricks, tips, and tactics that you can implement on your websites to make more money, make more opt-ins, make more sales, conversions, profits. Does that sound good? Okay. First, let me tell you a quick little story about how I get started. The year is 2002. And at this point, I was working as vice president of marketing for a software company. And my job at this point in the company was to sell the company to another company because our investors wanted to cash out. So the beautiful thing about an assignment like that is if you're successful, you lose your job. Because the company that buys you already has a vice president of marketing and they already know the guys. So anyway, luckily, I was successful in doing that, and we were able to sell the software company, and I was able to become unemployed. And so during my many plane flights around trying to sell this company, I had picked up a book in one of the airplane bookstores, and it was called Multiple Streams of Internet Income. Anybody ever seen or heard of that book, Robert G. Allen? Yeah, it's a pretty cool book. So the idea behind this book I thought was really cool, which was you could build these small internet sites that would get traffic and sell things, and apparently it was very easy. You could actually do this in your kitchen, and these sites would make money, and the best thing of all was I guess you could do it in your underwear. So for me, that was particularly an excellent way to go. And so I said, I'm going to try this out, and I'm going to try setting up one of these sites. And I was thinking what would be really cool is if I could actually do this and make some extra money, maybe by the end of the year, I could take my family on vacation or something. Because I knew my CEO, who had hired me the last couple of times, he'd find another job, and he'd call me up and say, Jeff, come on, be my VP marketing again. We'd go off and do it again. So I decided to, I bought Corey Rudel's course at the time, which was the Internet Marketing Center Marketing Tips, which was an excellent course, and that's what really got me started. And I started this site, which is called Beat My Speeding Ticket, which sells an ebook, believe it or not, on beating speeding tickets. And so I was able to, follow things in the book and, read stuff on the internet. Now, this is back in 2002, so there was nowhere near the level and amount and sophistication of information on this business that we have today. But there was certainly enough to get me going and put all this stuff together, and I was making 1 or 2 sales a day. I was actually making money on this thing. I was selling this ebook for $29. I'd actually licensed the content, so I'm no expert in writing speeding tickets, and I'm not a lawyer. I've never played one on TV. So, but I found one that was really good out there, and I did a deal with this guy, and I licensed the book for a one-time fee. And so it was going okay, and I made a decision then, which was really cool. I ended up doing coaching with Terry Dean. And Terry Dean, how many people have heard of Terry Dean? He was like the Frank Kern of that time. Terry had retired for a while, is back in business now. Guy's a legend, really smart marketer. And so I paid a few $1,000s to Terry and did personal coaching, and through that, kicked that speeding ticket book business up quite a bit, and also launched another site called CB Mall. Anybody heard of CB Mall out there? ClickBank affiliate storefront. So between those two things, they really started kicking along, and I was selling dozens of speeding ticket books and CB malls, and it was kicking along. And my CEO called me and said, "Hey Jeff, I got another gig. You want to be my VP marketing?" And I said, "No thanks. I'm pretty happy here now, and you can't pay me enough to go back and do what I was doing before because I was making more money doing this. So that got me started, and I've been full-time ever since. That was in 2002 that I made my first check for, I think, my very first check was like $10, but you know, like all of us, when you make that first check and you realize, wow, this is possible. You know, you can really do this. So it was very exciting. Quick little bit of background. I don't want to bore you, but it's important that you understand where I come from, so you know where some of this information came from. Unlike a lot of the speakers that you see, I have a business background. I went to college, studied marketing, did all the things Frank made fun of in the last speech, worked for corporate America. I worked for an ad agency. I was a senior vice president there, worked there for 15 years. That was during the mid-'90s when the web was first born. I was in charge of all the internet marketing for that agency, built all the corporate websites, did the SEO, did all that kind of stuff. So I had a lot of experience. Started building websites in 1996. Hand coding most of it because there weren't any tools, and then finally a company named Vermeer came out with a product which I bet a lot of people have heard of called Front Page. Microsoft bought it from them, so I had version 1, which is pretty cool. And if you're a geek. Was vice president of marketing at 2 software companies like I mentioned. One of them was in France. We took that company public on the ESDAC, which was the European version of the NASDAQ, and then we sold the second company off. And I've been full-time online since 2002. So that's a little bit about what I've done to get here. I have multiple websites in different niches. So, and what's important about that is that a lot of the information I'm going to tell you is not specific to internet marketing and business opportunities and that kind of stuff. And so let me just show you a couple of what those sites are. CB Mall I mentioned before, that's a ClickBank affiliate storefront. Again, that's been around since 2002. I think the interesting thing about that is if you're familiar with the internet marketing space, most products have a life cycle measured in weeks, right? It's here, it's gone, you hear about it, and then the next thing comes and goes. So it's pretty rare to have a site that's successful and that's working for people for 7 years. I've been able to do that with CB Mall. The speeding ticket book is called Case Dismissed, and the site is Beat My Speeding Ticket. We're going to talk about that a lot because it's a good site to test a lot of these tactics that I've used. Quickie Profits is a membership site where I share these quick tricks and tactics. So what we're going to teach today is some of what's in that website. Pilotworkshops.com is the classic model that Ryan Deiss, well, sort of like what Ryan Deiss was talking about yesterday about interviewing experts. I'm not a pilot. I'm a marketer. And so to me, what that means is I would probably, if I had a plan, I would probably drive it into the side of a mountain trying to figure out how to increase my opt-in rate. But I have a partner who's a pilot. He's not a world expert, but he was able to network. And we have a team of some of the world's top aviation experts who've created content for the site. And this is a classic info product site. We sell downloads, we sell CDs and videos on how to become a better pilot. These are things like night landings, night flying and emergency landings and all kinds of wacky pilot stuff. But again, very different from the internet marketing niche. And then how many people have seen a video called Quadruple Opt-in? A few people have seen that. So if you just jot it down, that's kind of one of those little kind of funny viral videos. So you should check that out, but that was a fun project that we did. In order to understand how the Quickie Profits work and stuff, I just want to show you some results from some of the customers that have used some of these Quickie Profit tactics. This is from a guy named Mike Hebers. Can you guys see that okay? I don't know any of these people. Well, I don't know any of these people when they sent me these testimonies. I still have never met or talked to these folks on the phone. Mike sent me an email shortly after he joined the site. He implemented a couple of quickies and sent me an email. Hey, my sales have doubled. I'm like, that's cool. You know, to be able to help somebody double their sales in one of those by using some of the quickies. Alex Hunter, this was even more amazing. I don't know Alex Hunter. Never met him. Still have never talked to him. But he sent me an email out of the blue saying, I'm making an extra $400 to $500 a day from one of the quickies that I implemented on my website. Now, there's two things interesting about that. One, obviously, this guy's already making a bunch of money if he can increase his sales $400 to $500 a day, right? And so what that made me realize is that is that this is for anyone in any level, right? If you're a beginner, it's really important to get your conversions as high as possible because money is precious, time is precious, resources are precious, and you need to maximize every possible bit that you have. And then on the other hand, if you're a pro and you've been around and you've had sites for 5 years and you're making thousands of dollars a day or whatever it is, still, don't you want a little bit more if you can make some tricks and some little tweaks and juice the site up a little bit. So that's what I learned with Alex, which was a good lesson for me to be thinking of in terms of marketing my business. Onyx Single, I didn't really know him at this time. Met him actually on a plane coming back from the seminar. We sat together, and he told me that he had seen one of the other 2 times I've spoken, which was at Yannick's Underground online seminar and one of the Stomper events. And he had seen me at Yannick's and had taken one of the tactics that I had taught there and pulled in an extra $3,000 in 3 days using just one of those tactics. So that's pretty cool. Just want you to see those kinds of things and know that that's what the kind of results that are possible with these little things. They may seem simple, but they can really make a big difference in your business. So the first batch I'm going to talk about are conversion quickies, that I call them. And we know conversion equals money. Conversion is what's important for all of our sites to turn that traffic and turn that flow into money. And one of the really key things you have to think about here in this at this point and going forward, traffic is getting more expensive. It's almost always getting more expensive. Whether you have to take a little more time to do some things, or whether you've got to bid against more and more people in pay-per-click, whether you got to spend a little bit more on e-zines. Traffic's getting more expensive, so we need to get as much money as possible out of the traffic that we have, and that's what we're gonna cover here. The economy is tighter. People are a little bit more wary of spending, and of course, if you read the media, like Frank says, nobody has spent anything in the last 6 months, and it's amazing we're all still alive because we should have starved to death from not buying any food because nobody has any money, right? But I was able to find some pretty interesting research. Retailers' online sales actually rose 11% in Q1 of 2009. Now, you didn't read that out in the papers. Nobody made a nice big story about how online sales are up, right? But I saw that the other day. That was, I think that was from Forrester. So there's some good news out there. People are online. We just need to do our jobs to be in front of them when they're looking for what we're selling, and we need to do our jobs converting their interest into sales. One of the best parts about conversion is that it's free money. Right? When you're doing traffic strategies, you often have to spend a little bit more money to get a little bit more traffic. But conversion, if you can spend some time and make some tweaks, that's free money in your pocket. It's permanent raise. And it leverages everything you do. It allows you to spend more money on marketing and bring more people into your funnel because you're getting a higher yield for every visitor that you get to your site. So when I think about conversion, I think about giving yourself multiple permanent raises. When people are working at a job, they work hard all year and go to the boss and say, can I please have a 5% raise? And he says, you know what, times are tough. And times are always tough, it seems, right? When you're asking the boss for a raise, times are always tough, right? It's like, well, we can give you 3%. Great, you worked all year, you get a 3% raise. With tactics like this, you can give yourself 3% raises 10 times in a year with your test results. So that's why it's so important. So let me get into some specific conversion boosting tactics. These are tips to actually get you more money from your existing traffic, and each of these has been proven to work in different markets. And these are especially great for the non-internet marketing niches. And what I want to do is, well, first I want to give you a warning, right? You need to test all these on your site. There's nothing 100% guaranteed or 100% sure in marketing. Every market's a little bit different, your site's a little bit different, your customers are different, depending on their traffic sources, it's different. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands, don't just blindly put this on your site. If you're smart, you're going to do an A/B test on these things. You'll probably see that they will work better, and you'll probably end up keeping them, but you need to test it for yourself. I use and recommend the Google stuff. It's free. The Google Analytics, Google Optimizer, it's really powerful. This is the same stuff I paid hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a few years ago, and it took hours to implement, and it was really, really technical, and now it's so easy. You can do A/B tests. I set up A/B tests now in like 5 minutes. It's that easy. So if you're not doing that, definitely make sure you start to learn that. Okay, I want to do a quick quiz right now. Raise your hands if you've bought something online in the last 30 days. Doesn't have to be internet marketing. It can be clothes or food or Amazon or... Okay, I'm looking. I literally don't see anybody that has it. Okay, great. Every single person in this room that I saw bought something online, including how did we get here? We paid thousands of dollars online to get here, right? Okay. So, we're not normal, okay? We're a weird bunch, especially, I think we can all agree, especially those of us in the room that have been sitting through 2 days of Frank Kern on stage, right? We're not normal. And here's why I say that. We buy online all the time. 44% of the population hasn't bought anything online in the last month. 25%, it's been over 3 months since they've bought something online. And we're doing it every single day. Or some of us are doing it every day. We're doing it all the time. We know what PayPal is and what ClickBank is and what one shopping cart is. We know about emails and autoresponders, how they work, what they're supposed to do. We understand e-commerce and shopping carts and affiliate programs. We know all that kind of stuff. But this is not normal. Most people are scared of doing business online. And if I can leave you with one thing, we need to have that mindset when we're creating our sales processes and when we're creating our sales pages and conversions. We have to overcome the distrust that the average consumer has with doing business online, much of which has been drilled into their heads by the media. Nielsen Research did a survey about online sales, and they said that trust and word of mouth are the biggest influencers in someone's online store choice. And when I was doing some research for this, I did some research on Google, and I used the keyword tool because I wanted to know how many people had searched for either online scam, internet scam, or email scam in the last month. 212,000 people in just the last month searched for those specific terms. So if that isn't a pretty clear and quantifiable number of what the level is out there, I don't know what is. We need to always keep this in mind. So what I'm going to talk about next are a few what I call trust-building quickies to overcome that natural distrust that people have of doing online. When you can overcome that distrust, you're going to build more trust and you're going to build more sales. And a lot of them work by overcoming the natural shopper anxiety that people have. There's an awful lot of online sales going on, and we saw some good numbers there, but people for hundreds of years have been walking into a store and pulling out some money or a credit card and walking away with whatever it is that they bought. So the whole online thing, people are still learning, we're still conditioning them, and that's why some of this is important. And what our sales process need to do is we need to answer shoppers' questions. So that's what the next couple of quickies are about. This is one that I call an order form thumbnail. Now, this is extremely effective for the non-internet marketing niche products, especially if you're using something like a ClickBank or a PayPal or a shopping account where you don't have control over the entire process and people are going to different domains. And it starts with considering the shopper's experience. So here's a typical internet order page here, right? And you can see in the bottom it says, click here to download Case Dismissed for only $29.95. So the typical consumer sees this. Now, speeding tickets is about as far away from internet marketing as you can get. This is not a niche. This is people who got stuck driving fast. There's not really a back end. I've never been able to have a back end for this product. This is a classic. I'm caught. I go on the internet. I type in speeding ticket. I see this book. I click on it, and I buy it or not. So it's a great test because there's no relationship. It's a great test of just pure sales and conversion ability. And so the typical person, they come and they click on this button, and what do they get? They go to, of course, the ClickBank order page, right? And so what do we do when we see this? We scroll down to the bottom, we see if we're going to get the commission on our purchase, right? I mean, that's typically what we do, right? But the average consumer, what do they see? What do they think of when they get to this page? Okay? They're on this site called Beat My Speeding Ticket. They click the order button. Now they're at some other site. It's got a different URL at top. It's got different colors. It's got different fonts. And guess what? It wants my credit card number too. Now, could this be a scam? I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you think you could be alarmed as a normal consumer if you saw something like this? Absolutely. You're rattled and you go, I'm out of here. And that's happening to everybody that's using these kind of ClickBanks and PayPals and shopping cart systems if you're not doing something actively to overcome that problem. So the order form thumbnail solution is very simple. You're going to show users exactly what to expect, and then you're going to deliver them there. And it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to implement. When I did this test on my speeding ticket site, I saw a 22.8% increase in sales using this tactic. And there's the there's some numbers right there. So I had it on there, took it off, but you can see 22.8% difference. This is huge. And here's how easy it is to implement. You're going to take a screen capture of the order form, okay, if it's the ClickBank order form or the PayPal order form, whatever it is. You shrink it to fit on your sales page, and you add it near your order link. So here's an example using ClickBank. And again, you can do this for any of your shopping carts. So this is what it looked like before. Okay? And this is what it looks like now. And you can see two things here. One, you can see that little thumbnail. So now what happens when they click on that order link, they've already got this in their head. They've seen it. It's anchored right next to their brain, right? There's the order link, and even if they don't pay attention, they see this, and they see the colors and what it looks like. And when they click, they're delivered there, so now they're getting what they expected, and it's not a jarring surprise. It doesn't cause them some anxiety. The other thing that you might not be able to, I don't know how well you can see that, but it says, Internet Security Note, the secure order form on the next page will look like this. So you're telling them exactly. Now this works on tons of different markets, and you can do a little test if you want. If you go to Google and you type in quotes, Internet Security Note, the secure order form, just that far in Google search, you'll see hundreds of websites now that have this on them. And this is where it came from. So this is highly effective. If you do nothing else after listening to my speech, go home, spend 5 or 10 minutes, put this on your site. If you don't know how to shrink it, go to Beat My Speeding Ticket and copy the thing, and put it on your site. Do a test, put it at A/B through Google, and see if that doesn't increase your sales. And if it does, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. So just make that, here's another tip. The graphic itself, make that clickable right to your order page. Because a lot of people, when they'll see graphics, they'll click right on them, even though it doesn't say click here. So make sure that if somebody does click, they're going to go to the order page and get where they expect it to go. And again, you can copy that off of beatmyspeedingticket.com. The next quickie I want to talk about, in the last one we worked to satisfy expectations, and the next quickie is going to answer questions that we as internet marketers take for granted all the time. And I call this one the order process explanation, and it continues on that theme of trust and satisfying expectations. So what you're going to do in this one is you create a new page on your site, and you explain to people what they can expect when they order from you. Now that is such a simple statement, right? But we take that for granted so much in our business because we're used to it. So as an example, I have a page, and you'll be able to find this if you go into that page to steal the ClickBank stuff anyways, you'll be able to go that. But I have a page on this site where I do that. It's called It's Okay. And I went back and looked in my Google Analytics, and this page has had, for the area, the time frame that I was looking at, it had 976 views, and the average potential customer was spending 3 minutes and 55 seconds on that page. So they were really engaged with what was on there once they got there, and they went there for a reason. Let me show you what it looks like here. You can see on my sales page, this is right near the order form. You can see at the bottom the red dots. That's the actual order form itself. But there's a little link right there in one sentence that says, if you're new to ordering products online, click here for more info. And when they click there, they go to the page which explains what the order process is. So what you want to do is record a good audio. And this is important because just hearing a human walk them through the process makes it a lot more personal and believable. And scammers don't do that. You're a human selling something to another human. So you walk people through the process, tell them what to do, talk them through your guarantee. Put a little. You can use whatever audio process you want or whatever audio program you're using to record that. Do make it good quality though, because if it's scratchy and tinny and it sounds lousy, then you're going to lose a little bit of credibility there. But here's some of the things that I have on that site. There's the thumbnail graphic of the ClickBank thing. I put that on that page too, okay? And I actually have some information about ClickBank on there, some contact information about ClickBank. They get information on how they can get refunds. Now you might be saying, why would you possibly make it easy for people to refund your product? But if you think about it, we all put guarantees on our products, right? I mean, ClickBank, you have to have a 60-day guarantee, and virtually anything else that's sold online, we all have guarantees. We've all learned that, right? But our guarantees mean nothing to the customer if they don't trust us in the first place. And if we don't show them how they can get a refund, then why should they believe they're ever actually going to get one? Or they would ever even know how to get one? I mean, the bad scammy companies make lies and they don't let you cancel, or they make it very hard. You want to be very upfront with it. Plus, it sends an underground message to the customer, which is saying, they're so confident about their product. This must be really good if they're actually telling me how to get a refund on it. I mean, this thing must be good. They must not get me. They'd take that off if they were getting a lot of refunds. So it's very simple, right? Tell them what to do. Give them the email address to click or link or whatever. Tell them what the refund process is. Now, again, you can test that if you're skeptical, and I don't blame you. Do a little test of that. Have one page with the refunds and one without, and see how it works. And you want to have some contact information on there. And at a minimum, it should be an email link or a contact form. If you can put a phone number, that's even better. That doesn't have to go to your personal cell phone. It can go through one of the voicemail systems so that you can screen those things. But that's it. To summarize, when the shopper knows what to expect, they're more likely to do business with you. Very simple statement, but if you take 30 seconds and think about that. It's so intuitive, and yet in almost all of our sales processes, we don't tell them exactly what to expect. We just want them to give us our money, right? So don't make them guess. You've got nothing to hide. You're running a legitimate, transparent business. Make it easy. The next quickie I want to talk about is about third-party credibility. And this is all about how to gain credibility for your site through third-party trust sales. And this is what I'm talking about here. These are those logos that you see on sites. The Better Business Bureau, Honesty Online, HackerSafe, iCop, ScanAlert. You've seen a lot of these on sites before. You've probably heard a little bit about it, but I want to give you some specific results. First, understand that the Better Business Bureau is #1 for consumers. That is by far better than the other ones to have. Matter of fact, when I was doing some research, again, I went to the FBI site. And they say, you know, in quotes, learn as much as possible about the seller, especially if the only information you have is an email address. If it's a business, check the Better Business Bureau where the seller of business is located. They didn't say check ScanAlert, check iCop. They say check the Better Business Bureau. So that's what has the most consumer awareness, certainly here in the States. So that's what you should focus on if you can. The others are certainly better than nothing. I've seen plenty of test results and split tests on almost all of these things will work to increase sales, but probably not give you the kind of bump that the Better Business Bureau is going to give you. In fact, let me share with you some results when I was first tested the Better Business Bureau. This is some test results. This is my speeding ticket site again, and I froze these results after 100 sales. You could see here, the yes obviously has the Better Business Bureau logo on the page, and no didn't. And this is after 2 weeks of test results, and what it ended up making me, in this case, was a $427 per week raise from that site. That was pretty exciting to me. Now, let me tell you what really ticked me off about this. I had the Better Business Bureau application in my top left-hand desk drawer for over a year. When I saw these results, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry because I was pretty ticked off about how much money I had thrown away by my procrastination. But let that be a lesson to you, to take some action if your site is at all in any way relevant that you could think that this might work. Give it a test. And if you can't do the Better Business Bureau right now, at least test one of the other ones while you're working to Better Business Bureau. Let me just run quickly through, because I had a lot of misconceptions about what's involved with actually getting in the Business Bureau. I had no idea what it would cost or what was involved, so let me quickly let you know what that is. You have to be in business for 1 year. It costs about $450 a year, and about half of that is to join your local Better Business Bureau, and then the other half goes to their national BBB online organization. And what that gets you is, that isn't just a logo on my site. When a consumer clicks on that link, they actually go to the Better Business Bureau site where it has the report on your business. So in my case, it says, High Tech Marketing, which is the parent company, is a member in good standing of the Better Business Bureau since 2005. And there's a report, and it says, there's no complaints against the company or whatever. So it's not just the logo. There's a report on there, and that's really what you're paying for. You need to have valid contact information that they're going to publish on the Better Business Bureau site. You need to adhere to their guidelines, which are basically revolving around running an ethical business. It's probably nothing that everybody in this room isn't already doing anyways. And that's about it. How to implement it, let me give you a couple of tips on what I did after messing around and sort of tweaking things to find out what worked for me. The first place you want to put that logo is above the fold on your sales page. Even now when I see sales letters and sites, a lot of times that have gone to the trouble of getting some of these trust seals, they're tucked down in the corner in the bottom right, like where nobody's ever going to see them. Put it right up top where one of the first things the customer is going to see is Better Business Bureau. That's a reason for them to keep reading. Even better, that eliminates a reason for them to stop reading, okay? Because it's unusual, and because someone looks and says, oh, they're in the Better Business Bureau. Wow, that's kind of unusual for a website, right? And so get it up there where they can see it right away. Put it near your order form down at the bottom. So here you can see it on my speeding ticket site, and I don't know if you can read at the right next to it. I have some text that says, hightechmarketing.com LLC, parent company of Beat My Speeding Ticket, is proud to be accredited by the Better Business Bureau and their online reliability program. Okay? So the Better Business Bureau, for that $450, they will allow you to put that logo on 2 different sites. So if you've got a couple of different businesses, you can put it on there. And I think they have some small fee to add it to additional sites, but I don't know exactly what those details are. So put it near the order form. It just makes sense. If someone's just getting ready to reach into the wallet, you want to give them that extra little bit of assurance that this is a safe company to do business with, right? And then another one, I had one of those brainstorms to try it on an opt-in form, and it boosted my response 18.4% on an opt-in form, which you think about it for a second and go, yeah, of course. I mean, this is a good company, a safe company to do business with. Why wouldn't I want to get more information from them, right? So that was fascinating. So here's, you can see, and the other interesting thing was, that was on, I tested that on my CB Mall opt-in form, which is, so even in the BizOp market that worked. And it works, this is one of those things that works really well in the BizOp market, especially because there are a lot of scams in the BizOp market, right? So if you can prove that you're not a scam, that you're in the Better Business Bureau, that already elevates you and separates you by far from so many of the other sites. So, and you can see the test results there, combination BB, 18.4%. So, trust seals, they're called. Again, start testing that as soon as possible. Big gains for very little effort. You saw 22.8% sales boost, 18.4% opt-in boost. Huge results for a very small investment, and a very small investment of time as well. So we shared some sales conversion ideas. The next thing I want to work on is helping you improve your email results. Time for a quick quiz again. How many people use video at all to pre-sell their product or an affiliate program? How many people just quick raise your hands, how many people are using video? All right, so that looks like at least probably half the people. This is going to help you, especially if you're using video. How many people have an opt-in on their sales page? A bunch more. Okay, so pay attention to this one, folks. Because there's a problem with an awful lot of sales and squeeze pages out there, especially if you're using video. And the problem is that when a subscriber opts in, they are immediately taken away from the content that you so painstakingly produced, right? As soon as think about it, right? So you fill in your email address, you hit the enter button, and boom, you're off that page and you're onto some other page. Sometimes that other page says you've joined our list, which is like a sin. Don't ever do that, right? At least sell them something, give them something, do something on that confirm page. But the iframe opt-in works to keep them on your page. You get the opt-in, but you stay on the page. And here's how it works. The iframe is actually a window looking into another page, and the opt-in code is on that behind page. So here's what I mean. In this picture, you can see the opt-in form, and you can see type your first name, type your email, and the button says, please send my free sample. By the way, nobody in this room would ever use a submit button, right? We don't want our customers to submit. We want them to enjoy the free benefits of whatever it is we're offering. So what happens in my case, and how I'm using this, again, this is on the sales page, right? And so if I think about it, if I'm on an opt-in on a sales page, the last thing in the world I want to do is stop them from reading my sales page so I can send them an email. If they're on the sales page, I would like to have every chance possible to have them finish reading my sales page and buy the product, right? So that's what happens here. If somebody fills in their email and they hit the please send button, they get a page that looks like this. They're actually on the same page. They've never left my sales letter, but what happened was the the iframe displayed underneath my sales letter, behind my sales letter, in that little window that I talked about, it just displayed a message that says, thank you. Your free ebook and case-dismissed excerpt will be emailed to the address you supplied. Okay? So now they know they're getting what they just asked for, but they're still on the sales page and they feel comfortable that they continue reading without learning anything. Think about how this would work, this exact same thing would work on a video squeeze page where you're pre-selling content, right? You're watching the video, you're halfway through the video, you say, oh, I don't know, this starts to look pretty good, and they fill in the email address and they hit the button, and boom, they don't get to see any more of the video. They're on some other page now. Well, if your video was any good, wouldn't you rather they see the whole video, especially if the video is pre-selling at all, which good ones do? So, here's how it works. This is what it actually looks like in my HTML editor. So that part that's white there, that's what's showing behind, okay? And all that's on that page behind is the opt-in form code. And in this case, it's from, I think it's from AWeber. It might be autoresponsers. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Whatever autoresponder you're using, you've got the code, and that's all that's there. So there's actually 3 pages involved in this process. There's your sales or squeeze page, there's the opt-in page, which only has the form code on it, and there's the confirmation page. And the opt-in and confirmation are only showing underneath on that second page behind the iframe. Now this is a simple thing to implement. And let me show you, this is what the iframe code looks like. This is what's going to be on your sales page or on that video page. That's it. That one little bit of code, and the source is yoursite.com/optin.htm. So that's the page that you create with just the opt-in. You may have to play a little bit with the width and height depending on what your opt-in form looks like, but that's about it. It's very simple. If you want a very easy model and see exactly how it works, again, go to beatmyspeedingticket.com and look at the source code and see how I implement it there. It's very simple. And you'll be able to see what the opt-in page is, and you can go and look at that. Very simple. But this is a tactic I highly recommend if you're using opt-ins. Consider all your opt-in pages. Test this iframe wherever it's appropriate. And here's the mental process you want to have. This is the indicator. If people might miss good content on whatever page they're opting in from, then you should test this, all right? Okay. So, another quick quiz. Raise your hand if you have ever split tested a sales page. Excellent, excellent. So, that's a lot of people here. Good for all of you. That's great to see. Now raise your hand if you've ever split tested your emails. Okay, it's about maybe a third of that many people or half the people have tested emails. It's interesting because we split test on sales pages a lot, and that's what seems to get all the attention. But split testing on emails can boost response just as much, and as you looked around, you know, I don't even know if that was 10% of this crowd has split tested emails. So I'm going to talk a little bit about split testing emails and what kind of benefits that can get for you. Here's some email testing results. This example came from my pilot market, from my pilot workshop site. And we tested 3 different emails to the same list at the same time. And you could see here the sales results. What we learned from this is that had I used the best headline to start, the best version to start, it would have been worth $1,224 extra on a 7,800 person list. You can see the unique clicks there. The loser had 466 and the winner had 769. That's a huge difference. You can also see that the sales were a lot bigger with the winner. Not as much, right? I mean, that's sort of roughly almost double the sales from the loser to the winner. I mean, double the clicks, not double the sales, right? Double the clicks. But it's still a healthy increase in the sales. So, that's the kind of benefits. That's just one small example of what I got. And the other thing that's really neat about split testing emails is you start to learn what subject lines and what types of emails are working better with your market, so you can start to incorporate that more in your messaging. So for example, if your subject line, you're testing 3 subject lines and one mentions, you know, grab this free video, and that's the highest one, well, maybe your market's really more interested in videos, you know? So maybe you test that a couple more times. You say, boy, I should probably be doing videos for all my emails because that gets the highest click-through rates, and that's what my market seems to respond to. So that's how you can pick up on what you can learn from doing that. Here's another set of results. This is actually from the internet marketing niche, and I was testing a subject line here, and just tested this on a subset of my main list, and it boosted profits 15% through my tracking. So now I know I'm going to use the winner in my email series. I tested on a broadcast. Now I just work it into the series, and that is going to be working more effectively for me from now on autopilot without me having to do any more work. So it's that simple. Anybody want a 15% raise? I mean, doesn't sound too bad, right? For a little bit of work like that. Let me go quickly through how to implement that. You want to test 2 or 3 very different subject lines. If you're going to test 3 different approaches to the subject. And the email body can be the same, or you can change that. And that sort of depends on your subject line. Your subject line needs to tie in with the body copy somehow. So if you're testing 3 really different approaches, it's okay to test subject lines and use the same copy, the same body copy, or different body copy. That's up to you. You may want to mess with either one of them. At a minimum, you need to use click tracking. Every one of those links in those emails, you have to be able to tell, did the person click on email A or email B? And you can do that either using the click tracking built into your autoresponder, or just set up different links and put tracking on that. I recommend that because I like to have the links coming from my own domain and not from Aweber. It just looks more normal to a customer. Ideally, you want to be able to track sales as well. If you're using a shopping cart, you can often set up an ad tracker and monitor the results of the sales. That's how we did it with that pilot example that you saw. So quickly, in Aweber, I know an awful lot of people use Aweber, so I grabbed some screen captures to show you, because you may never have even seen or paid attention to how this is done. But this is the messages page, and you want to click on the green button that says Create Split Test Broadcast, amazingly enough. And you're going to come to a screen which has this on it, and you just enter the percentages you want. So if you're testing 3 emails, then you need 33% on each one. If you're just split testing 2, then you just put 50-50. And Aweber splits that out automatically. And what they're doing behind the scenes that's important to realize is they're mixing and alternating those A/B tests between your entire list randomly. So the new people are getting both A/B. The old people that have been on your list for a year are getting AP. The people from domains from AOL to Zaire.com, they're all getting the emails mixed in together, and that's important to get legitimate results, right? So when you put in your percentages, you come to this screen, and there are 3, because I was doing a 3-way split test, there's 3 places where it says insert your subject. So you click the insert your subject, you stick your email in there, you hit save, you go to the next one, you click there, you hit save, go to the next one, do the same thing. And then when all 3 of them are loaded, only at that point do you hit the Q button, because the Q button is what launches them all. What you don't want to do, what you don't want to make the mistake of, is finishing one and then queuing it and launching it and then finishing the other one, because if you get distracted at all or if your timing's off, the timing of when the emails goes out can make a big difference. And you've probably seen that as you've tested emails, right? Different times of the day get different types of results. I mean, if you mailed one and then you kind of got distracted and then you went to lunch and came back an hour later, well, lunchtime can be a big swing shift. So these all have to go out at the same time. That's your responsibility to make sure they're going out at the same time. So, quick summary on this. Again, this takes just minutes to do. It's especially great for messages in a series. So you try to test it on a broadcast once and then use that and put it in a series. And it helps you learn what your list responds to, which is a very valuable thing for any of us as marketers to learn what our people like the best, right? Now I want to talk about another one, and it's kind of funny. I had this in my presentation, and I was at dinner last night with John Reese and Ryan Dice, and they were both talking about this exact same thing, so I thought that was pretty cool, because this is talking about using the footer or the signature line in your autoresponder. And a lot of us maybe set this up once when we first set up the autoresponder and then completely ignore it for the rest of the time that we're paying for the autoresponder. But it's a little used way to communicate with your entire list without broadcasting, without sending out a specific email. And so here's what it is. This is the part that's circled is the autoresponder footer for this particular message. But what I really want you to focus on is that PPS, okay? Because when the customer's reading my email, they're going to see that PPS, and it looks like part of the email. And then under the little dash line is all the normal unsubscribe stuff that you see on any autoresponder, right? But that PPS is actually in the footer or the signature part of my autoresponder. So I can change that once in my autoresponder system, and it shows up on every email that's coming out of my system, whether it's in the series that I've pre-programmed or whether it's a broadcast. And it goes out on all of them until I take it off or change it. So that PS is what I'm actually promoting. And implementing this, again, I'll show Aweber because it's so important, but when you're in the list settings section, you click on the global fields there, and they use it as they call it the signature. And so you can type anything you want in that signature, and that's going to show up on any of your emails. In this one, this example here, what I did was I said PPS. And the reason I use PPS, by the way, is most of my emails have a PS. So PPS looks like, I just added it in on the end there. And it says PPS, here's a link to my new blog, hightechmarketing.com/blog. And so when I was launching my blog, that's how I sort of introduced it to my readers and gradually built a following on the blog through doing that. And I ran that for a few weeks. Let me give you some ideas of other things just to get your mind going, other ways that you might use the footer. You might do special promotions or launches or holiday sales that are time specific. And that's what's really great about this is because you control exactly when it's showing up and you remove it when you want it to stop. Affiliate promotions. If you know there's a big launch going on, you can put a PS on the bottom of your emails that are going out for a while saying, hey, by the way, have you seen Frank Kern's new mass control? Here's a video he's got, right? Current event tie-ins make sense a lot of times. Upcoming events you're attending. So let's say you're in the aviation niche. You might want to put PS, hope to see you at the Oshkosh Fly-In in March 3rd through 6th. Right? And so you put it in that week or maybe the month leading up to that, so it lets people know that you're attending shows or you're attending seminars. But again, you got to make yourself a little note. When I do this kind of thing and it's time sensitive, I'll make myself a note in my Outlook calendar. So on next Thursday, I'll have a little note that says, change the footer because the sale's over or the event's over or you're home from the seminar or whatever it is. So that's my little trick on how I do that. Another thing that it's really useful for is the social media kinds of things. So again, as I mentioned before, you can introduce or promote your blog, your Twitter, your Facebook page, whatever it is you want to promote. I gained over 2,000 Twitter followers alone just using this. I follow well under 100 people, so it wasn't, those 2,000 didn't come from me following them and following back. That was from the autoresponder footer and people reading my messages and they say, oh, that's a pretty good email. I learned something from that. And oh, he's got a Twitter account. I'll click on it and follow his Twitter. Here's a tip I got from Mike Filsame, and we're a mastermind thing we were doing, and he just kind of threw this out. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. Just $9, go register the domain twittermulligan.com. Right? It's kind of cool, and when they click there, obviously they go right to my Twitter page where they can reach me. That's really good, by the way, if you weren't able to get your own name. If you couldn't get your own name on Twitter. Another little tip I learned from Mike was when I went to sign up for Twitter, somebody had already taken my name that wasn't me, and they only had made one post and they said that they were an internet marketing expert. Well, I'm pretty sure I'm the only Jeff Mulligan in internet marketing because I haven't been doing it for 7 years. I would pretty much know. And I knew this was just some sleazebag trying to, slime off my reputation or whatever. But what I learned from Mike is Twitter's actually responsive. So I wrote Twitter an email and I say, hey, look, this guy's squatting on my name. I'm Jeff Mulligan. You can check by emailing me at jeff@jeffmulligan.com. And sure enough, in a couple of days, I had the Jeff Mulligan Twitter account. So if that's happened to you, that's another little tip that you can use. So I want to throw in, we've gone through a lot of this. I want to throw in a little bonus time saver. This isn't specifically about conversions, but this is about saving time so you'll have more time to spend on your conversions. And this one reduces spam. We all waste time sorting through our email filters, sorting through our inbox, right, going through spam. And unfortunately, we've done a lot of that to ourselves. And anybody who has email links on their websites, they're great for sales, but you're inviting spam if you don't treat them properly. There's these spam bots out there, and basically they're computer programs written by hackers that just go out, and basically what they do all day is they click on websites, scan the source code, look for a mail-to link, steal what's behind the mail-to link, dump it into a database, and then spam the living hell out of those email addresses. That's what the spam bots do. So if you have a basic email link, you're actually asking these spam bots to spam you. And not only do they spam you, then they make a little extra money because they sell your email address to other spam companies who may sell it to other spam companies. So if you've got an inbox that's stuffed with, email, jeff@jeffmulligan.com, and it turns out to be a spam, that could be what happened is you had that live link on your site. This is what they look like. So if you've got this on your code, you need to get rid of this right away. These kind of email links are just begging to be spammed. And so here's what you can do to fix it. It's simple. It's free. You don't even have to opt in or nothing. This is the site, spamdisappears.com. I had this coded up, and what it does is quickly and free, it encrypts your email so that the bots can't read it, but it works and looks just like normal for your customers. So they're going to see, email Jeff. That's all they're going to see, and when they click on it, the email program's going to come up, and they can email Jeff. But what the spam bots see is a bunch of gobbledygook code because it's been encrypted by the software behind Spam Disappears. What's cool, now, the spam bots theoretically could take the time to decode this, but they don't because it's processor time, and they're all about maximum yield for the time. So spam bot doesn't see that simple. It just goes along and it ignores your email address. So if you have those email links in your address, spamdisappears.com is going to help you. So starting to run short on time, I want to give you a quick summary of what we've gone over here. We covered 6 quickie tactics and the Spam Disappears bonus. I showed you a 22.8% increase on the thumbnail order form. I showed you a $427 a week raise I got by using the Better Business Bureau logo, and an 18.4% opt-in increase. Show you how I built 2,000 plus Twitter followers. Showed you a spam reduction in Spam Disappears. So with that, let me give you one more quiz, last quiz of the day here. Raise your hand if you learned something that will help you make more money in this speech. Excellent. That's awesome. Thank you very much. I feel great when I can share things and help people. And let me tell you what is really cool about these tactics, because they're very different from a lot of the stuff that we see and buy out there. It can't possibly hurt me if you're successful using these tactics, right? If everybody in this room started putting the Better Business Bureau logo on their site tomorrow, what would happen? It certainly isn't going to hurt me. It's going to make all consumers who hit all of our sites feel better about doing business online because they found a site they can trust. It's going to help all of us make more money, right? There's no downside to doing that. If I can help you increase your opt-ins because you use this little piece of iframe code that's been around for 100 years but nobody really knows about, and all of us increase opt-ins and all of us do better, that doesn't hurt me. If I taught you some Google secret, well, as soon as a bunch of people buy the course and they all start using the Google secret, a lot of times those stop working, right? Everybody learns them and then the advantage goes away. But that's not the case with quickies. So I really love doing this because it helps all of us. These quickies are the quickies that we went over. I hope that you will take at least a couple of them, test them, and grow your business. Thank you very much for your time and attention.